Griffin, would you like to apologize for the live listener?
Yeah, Griffin.
Oh, because I'm the reason why we're late. Well, originally I was on pace to be on schedule for 5:30, and then things changed for reasons we don't need to get into to 6, and then at that point I was late for the 6 o'clock aiming point.
Do you know the reasons?
I know them, but they don't need to be shared right now.
I know them too, but we don't need to leak personal details.
Like Cody Barton being blamed for things that are not his fault. I am not to blame for us not being on schedule for the 5:30 aiming point Pacific time.
You know what's my takeaway from this game? Common Cody Barton W. Common Cody Barton success. Yeah.
He just finds a way to get his hands on the ball.
Exactly.
I almost got a takeaway with the Seahawks looking like they might lose the game.
You know who had a couple of takeaways? The Seattle Seahawks. Ooh.
Hold on.
That's what this lovely graphic below our faces says. I wonder who created that.
I'm the stat boy. I need to check.
I'm stat boy. I'm box score boy, actually. More specifically. As the producer of the show, let me be the first to say we apologize for being late, folks. We are so sorry, and we will make it up to you in a very grand way that we totally will hammer out over the next few days.
And it's important, Ty, that you're sincere when you're saying that. You sound very sincere.
I'm very sincere.
Yeah,
right
very sincere.
I could not be more sincere than I am right now.
Poor old Jonah was here 15 minutes early, which is now
about an hour and 15 minutes ago. So
yeah, now we're not laughing at you, Jonah. We're sort of laughing at the overall situation.
Yeah. No, I would never laugh at any of our listeners. I love all of our listeners very much equally. Give you $1. No, but we can give you some great analysis on the Seattle Seahawks 27-23 win over the Los Angeles Rams. Is that good?
Yeah. Right. Should we do the podcast? Good. Tell a friend we're live. We actually are live, like for real live. And then
we're for real live. We're here.
I want to push these numbers up. These are rookie numbers. Is that Wolf of Wall Street?
We've got 15 people on here.
I think out of the trio, Ty, you look the most like Matthew McConaughey.
All right, I'll take it. All right.
Maddie, you could pull off a McConaughey look.
I could pull anything off, man. Look at me.
You're De Niro though.
You're like you're a what is it?
There it is. Spitting image. It was coming out for a second there.
Of Ewan McGregor.
I'm like a Ewan McGregor what?
Yeah. A spitting image, or is it splitting image? I
really don't get the Ewan McGregor thing at all.
You could do the Phantom Menace era Ewan McGregor.
Oh, I'd love to. He had such a good
like Jedi
robe.
Hey, that earbud that you have is basically like his braid,
his rat tail. Yeah,
his rat tail. Yeah. There you go. Yeah.
That's true. Yeah. Damn, guys.
Can you say Master Destroyers?
That was good.
Wow. So if Ty, maybe you could be my voice actor.
There you go.
So I do all the action scenes, but you are the voice.
There you go. Yeah, I'll dub for you.
Yeah, perfect. Dub. That's the word. Dub. Nailed it.
Just like what the Seattle Seahawks got today, folks.
Oh, hold on. Another dub. Taylor, loyal listener. We see you, Taylor. Just want to say everyone's personal grooming looks great and everyone looks very tall. How lovely. What a very lovely kind thing. And 509 Adventures, again, loyal listener, we see you. Totally
not just a loyal listener of Seattle Overload, but also the Locked On Mariners podcast. Shout out to 509 Adventures.
There we go. And then Matt Jordan, can Matty grow a beard? That is personal information, and you are going to get banned from the chat.
I think we should all grow beards. I think we should all grow beards. Playoff beards. Playoff beards, folks.
Maybe. Right, should we do the podcast? Okay. Welcome to the Seattle.
So World Cup, where are we at with that right now?
Oh yeah, Griff, you okay after the US?
Yeah, no, I'm still emotionally reverberating, but it's all good.
It's the wound is still too fresh, so I will not be speaking on this matter personally.
Maddie, it was kind of
fan.
Yeah, Maddie, it was pretty inconsiderate of you to bring that up, actually. So we're just.
I'm just so happy that the English beat the Senegalese, and now we're going to play the French.
In Mbappé.
That in a different context, that was a very problematic sentence.
Oh yeah, hell yeah. I mean, France's history.
Maddie gets canceled for the second episode in a row.
Yeah. In Lille, when I was on my vacation, they had a statue for the governor of Senegal. Yeah, that was, I found slightly unusual. Right. Anyway, should we tear down statues? What should we do with them, guys? What should we do? Right.
I think we should build a statue of Geno Smith after his incredible comeback today.
There we go. Can we talk about the Seahawks now? Great.
That's like 5 segues now. Let's make it happen.
Griff, are you going to ask any stupid questions? Oh, perfect. He's taking a sip.
Especially no if you're going to talk to me that way.
Wow.
Holy shit. We're 7 minutes into this thing. All right. We're live for real this time.
2:34 a.m. Okay. Welcome to the Seattle Overload podcast, where the Seahawks have beat the Los Angeles Rams 27-23. Yes, I'm wearing a Reese's Senior Bowl hat. Or do you say Reese's? But we don't have to think about the draft yet.
Only sickos say Reese's.
Okay, good. I'm not a sicko. We don't have to think about the draft yet because the Seahawks are still in the playoff hunt. Now, results elsewhere went a bit weird, but Washington is 7-4-1. Seattle is now 7-5. They are in the hunt. They need to keep winning. And this was a game where a lot of things went right. Geno Smith actually put together his first fourth quarter game-winning drive since 2014, which seems crazy because really down the stretch of this season, he's done bits and bobs like that, but the defense hasn't sort of done their part. But he's also shown troubling signs. And on this last drive, I felt he showed a few troubling signs, but he got it done in the end. He overcame that adversity, overcame the running back injuries, which we'll get to. And he did it, finishing 28 of 39 for 367 passing yards, 3 passing touchdowns, and 1 very weird interception. Griffin, how good was Geno?
He was really good. Awesome to see finally the game-winning drive. He had his usual couple of iffy throws a game, which feels like he's really had almost every single game. But you can probably say that about a lot of quarterbacks, but it's just the nature of the beast. If that's his process, it surely is working out, in the big picture here, because not many of them have actually, resulted in an interception, right, or a turnover. So, he was using the middle of the field. He was able to get the big go ball to DK Metcalf down the sideline on the boundary there. Sharp and play action, surgical and quick game. Like even when they weren't quick game, like Marquise Goodwin's lone reception of the game, it was double slants, quick game concept, and he held out in the pocket a little bit longer and allowed Goodwin to gain a little bit more depth, and caught it at 12 yards instead of the usual 5, 6, 7. Like, it's just a cool way to cheat the system there, knowing he had man coverage and no interior help there. So like just little things like that. And was just generally really accurate with the ball, once again, it felt like the best throw of the game occurred on an incompletion, the one where Goodwin almost came down with it. And I'm not going to fault him for it. Good defensive play. But he's had a hand, like probably 4 or 5 of his top 10 throws of the season are incompletions. It's pretty funny. But yeah, I don't know. I'll flip it over to you guys.
Yeah, it was nice to get a win finally after a couple bad losses in a row. Not entirely thrilled with the way that they won this game, but that last drive was cool. It was good to see Geno finally get that game-winning drive. That was kind of the last box that he hadn't checked yet up to this point, so it was good to see that. And obviously, it's great to see DK scoring a game-winning touchdown with Jalen Ramsey on him. So that was cool. That was really fun to watch them, competing as they do over the course of this game. But yeah, the couple weird turnovers that didn't really need to be turnovers, at least one of them. I'm sure we'll get into that a little bit. But overall, pretty good day, especially when you consider the fact that their entire running back room got decimated over the course of this game. So
yeah, let's talk about the weird turnover. So I think that's what's encouraging for me, and it's silly to put so much stock in one win and base a whole performance around the result. And I do agree the performance was concerning, but I think the fact that they overcame concerning elements to the offense that we've seen in the past, worrying elements to their whole game, that for me is big. Like, that for me is huge. The sack fumble, that was really weird. Like, they're in an unbalanced line. I'm not sure why they'd do that, maybe to sell the play action. I mean, it was open, I think, but it was just a bit weird. It was kind of like that vibe of Waldron being a bit cute. The red zone stuff, they ended up going 2 for 4 in the red zone, but you'd like that efficiency to be slightly higher. And they went 5 for 10 on third down to just at that 50% mark or higher that they aimed for. But it seemed very up and down and disjointed at times, lacking rhythm. But they put it all together and they finished. And that touchdown to DK Metcalf zipped in with like a clever sort of overloading the side. They're probably expecting a rub route kind of deal. And instead, they're able to get bootleg out of that from the gun. And Geno just goes, "I'm better than you," threads it into a tight window. DK, he's been, going at it with Jalen Ramsey the whole game. He's just like, "I'm bigger and stronger than you. I have strong hands. I'm not even that open, but I'm just going to catch this touchdown." I wondered if it was intercepted because it was such a tight window throw. We couldn't see where the ball had gone.
Can't tell at first. Yeah,
DK comes down with it.
That's a big boy throw too, especially in that situation. Best game of the season for DK. Would you guys say?
Yeah.
Well, I guess I mean,
give it. Yeah.
He finished with 8 targets, 8 receptions, 127 yards, 1 touchdown.
Wow, he caught all of his targets. Crazy.
There you go.
Yeah. He's DK has really been like owning the little things within his game. Like, he's not expanding his game, but it's the little things within his game. The last 2-3 weeks, he's really like, he's committing to like, I'm going to get the hard, tough yardage, make the most out of it. The easy stuff, but then like he's still one of probably the most dangerous sideline route runner, threat in the game. So, and he caught that game-winning touchdown overhanded. He had pronated hands. He used his hands, and he had to, because he's tried to, in the exact same scenario, try to catch it underhanded and trap it up against his chest, and you're not always going to be able to pluck those out. If he tried to do that right there, Ramsey very well could have gotten a hand on the ball. He had to reach out for it a little bit, and that probably helped secure, the touchdown. So
DK Metcalf reading C Mike's spin move tweets.
He finally saw my tweets. Thank God.
What was also cool about that final drive as well, not to put too much stock into it, but it is what won the game, was how Lockett was kind of getting all the targets during that drive. And he finished 12 targets, 9 receptions for 128 yards and 1 touchdown as well. But he was getting peppered around there. And you're like, oh, Metcalf's kind of gone out of it. Is Geno not going his way? And then bang, there we go. Like Geno finds DK. But Lockett, what a game he had, finding the zone holes, being that reliable target, kind of always open. He had a mix up with Geno, which on another day, maybe that ends in an interception. But overall, a superb game from Lockett again. And these two, when you've got these two and you've got Geno, who's obviously a brilliant pocket pass and he's reading stuff out so well, but you can accomplish a lot. Like, you really can. Now, Geno was sacked 4 times. I feel most of that seems to be coverage sacks. We'll have to watch all 22. But there's a lot to be excited about with this passing offense. I think we already knew that, but just the fact they went and did it in this game and they finished, like, I'm so happy about that. Now, Ty, the run game. The run game actually, for a yards per carry standpoint, is impressively better than I thought. Like, It went
Yeah.
for 4.1 yards per carry, which is kind of weird. Did Geno scramble? He did on a boot, didn't he?
He had 2 carries for 3 yards, apparently. So some of that is a bit skewed by the big Walker run at the beginning of the game. I think it was like literally the first play of the game that they had that he busted for like, I don't know, 20 plus yards. Here it was a 30-yard run. So that's like the longest runs after that were 7 by Dallas and 7 by Tony Jones. So
so they finished with 22 rushing yards. No,
they finished with 90 rushing yards on 22 carries.
But what that doesn't tell the story of, and what I find impressive of how Geno stood in there. He's making throws with 3 rushes in his face, most of it by design, some of it from missed blitz pickups. But the missed blitz pickups as well tell the story of the running backs got banged up. So Kenneth Walker, Pete Carroll described after the game that he banged up his ankle, which he didn't say it was a twist. He specified it wasn't, which sounds concerning. Apparently he was ready to. Pete used a weird phrase. Like he tried it out, but then they didn't put him out there. So like he probably was walking on it again, and they just didn't put him out there. So that sounds weird. It looked like a very weird sort of non-contact kind of injury as well. Or did he get trod on? Because he did get one of his feet got clipped, I think, when he was going out of bounds. But I don't know what happened there. Now, DJ Dallas, Pete didn't know what happened to him, but they listed that as an ankle as well. He got banged up as well. And I think before even Tony Jones took that vicious hit where the helmet got involved in the hit, and we weren't expecting him to be involved in this game, but Travis Homer was inactive on the day. He, I think, got hurt before that hit as well, but then he came back into the game and he went 7 for 14 yards. So, Ty, the run game is a bit of a concern. They'll probably have to add some running backs, but I mean, what did you see out of that?
Yeah, it's pretty wild how every time that Homer is absent, that it's very clear that they miss him, particularly with the pass protection stuff, because Dallas tried to pick up some blitzes, wasn't working, just wasn't happening. So, so that was kind of a big thing, right? Overall, the run game, though, I mean, they kind of just had to abandon it for the most part, right? Because like Dallas was doubtful to return, and they basically just had to force him back out there after Jones.
He played through it. Pete was saying how he was like really pleased about that. But that's such a weird thing with football, especially when it's a business. Like,
So because of the lack of bodies, basically they just kind of had to move on from it for the most part. I mean, they tried to get in a couple runs in there. I think they had like 1 first down run with Tony Jones. It was like a 5-yard run or something like that, and that was really like it. So hopefully, I mean, they have a couple of guys on the practice squad right now, Darwin Thompson and I'm missing out on the other name, but they have 2 guys on the practice squad, so that's probably the move there. Just elevations if they need them.
Yeah,
too bad they don't have Josh Johnson available.
Well, he was waived with an injury designation, right? So I imagine he's either. Hopefully, he can still play football. I imagine he'll be back next season.
What could have been?
Yeah, he was the guy. Now there's names like Alex Collins, who's now 32 years old. I believe he's not signed with a team. Obviously, he's been with the Seahawks before. And then
guys, what about Marshawn?
Yes, and there's also Melvin Gordon, who's on the Kansas City practice squad at the moment. Who's we'll see. They'll have to sign someone. And but again, encouraging that Geno kind of. He's playing a banged up opponent, but he's got a banged up running back room, and he kind of puts the team on his back I think moving forward, just having running backs who are more familiar with the game plan would help, because I think going down the depth chart to like Tony Jones, you have to wonder how much that limited their plays. Yeah, you can tell him on the fly, what to do, but it's obviously not an ideal situation. So,
and also important for protection too.
Yeah.
Obviously.
Yep.
So Griff, how good was Bobby Wagner?
I mean, it was not fun to be on the receiving end of it, but it's still cool to see him, have a heartbeat out there. The first sack was like a nothing sack, but the second one was a legit, like, just toss the running back aside play. That was cool. I mean, that was a great play. That was vintage Bobby. The interception obviously was a good play. But I mean, like Maddie, we've talked about before, the Rams don't really ask him to do anything in coverage. Like like they don't even ask him to get depth in zone coverage. It's very odd. Like they know he's very limited. A lot of the over the middle of the field production, cursory review of the broadcast, it looked like it was Bobby's zone, or he was primarily responsible. But then again, like, if they're not asking him to get depth there, then I guess, well, I don't know, the safety's got to nail down more. You know what I mean? Like,
that's how I took it. Yeah,
it's just kind of a bizarre thing. Like, it's technically not his fault because they wouldn't ask him to be responsible for that. Therefore, he's still impacting your scheme negatively.
Hence the PFF rating being ridiculously high.
Yeah, he's definitely cheating. He's gaming the system. But I don't like speaking ill of Bobby here. But
no,
yeah,
that interception. What was your view on that?
Oh, like the play, like the call itself. I suppose that if you, in the spirit of, it has to be incontrovertible evidence to overturn the initial call, then okay, fine. But then what happened last week when they initially called DK's catch a catch, and then, you know what I'm saying? Like, if the initial call is X, it's really hard to, when it doesn't feel super clear, to then overturn it. Seattle has just been on the receiving end of really bizarre catch ruling calls.
I'm sick of it.
Yeah, I would have called it a catch. I would have called him down, rather, caught and down at that point.
Guys, I think they're paying the refs.
Why do they hate Seattle?
I have shocking evidence that the NFL's office is located in Los Angeles, next to whatever that stadium's called.
SoFi.
SoFi horror. It's SoFi.
Yeah.
Oh, it's SoFi. Yeah.
SoFi.
Okay. Yeah.
Right.
Okay. Final thing on that, I meant to mention it earlier, but on the final drive as well, Geno said how in his post-game presser, how Pete Carroll told him on the sideline, just play pitch and catch. And that to me is beautiful, because I was thinking at the time, wow, this is literally just like pitch and catch. They're just tossing it around the park, passing to space. They kind of opened up all areas of the field, just let Geno go and get it done. And he did. So awesome. Right, defense. Ty, how nervous were you after that first opening stuff with Mr. Wolford, who, let's not forget, knocked the Seahawks out of the 2020 playoffs, along with a very dominant defense and a very injured Jamal Adams. And
thank you for reminding all of us.
Yeah, no problem. Yeah,
appreciate it. I was pretty nervous. I mean, like, some of it was just like, okay, maybe McVay's opening script here is just, working, and once things, kind of get settled in, like, Seahawks defense will turn it up. But then next couple drives happened, and they were still moving the ball, and they were still running the ball, and this offensive line has been really bad for Los Angeles for the most part. And they haven't been able to run the ball really with any sort of efficiency for the most part. But they were just basically moving down the field at will for a while. And yeah, that was really, really nerve-wracking and upsetting, considering the level of talent you were going up against. Without Matt Stafford, without Cooper Kupp, without Allen Robinson, without, all these guys that the Rams went into this game without. And for them to, I mean, like, I know that Seahawks defense kind of settled in here towards the middle of the game, but man, yeah, that was a really disappointing and deflating start, especially after the Raiders game and how that went down.
Griff, were you worrying about how you'd cope?
Going into the game, I had no idea what to expect. The first two drives, I was definitely like worrying, like, oh my God, are they just completely falling apart? The McVay factor, especially the McVay Seahawks factor, opening script, like, yeah, they were just finding all the weak spots. And Seattle had to the Seahawks had to correct to it. And I think by and large they did, with the exception of maybe probably that go-ahead drive that they had toward the end. I mean, Wolford is a backup quarterback for a reason. You know, he's a competitor, all that stuff, right? But he's bad, and his stat line was bad. So, I mean, I would rather him have a bad stat line than anything else. We don't need to make any statements about the state of the Seahawks pass defense or not. But I think that by and large, they defended a lot well. So, like, a lot of that play action that was hitting, most of it was hitting in areas where they historically have not hit against Seattle in the past. So, like, what I mean by that is like that the intermediate route, really, that was for the most part bottled up, which I think is a good sign, because that probably means you have good spacing and structure. Like, it's the hardest route to defend in all the football right now is play action crossing routes, really, or play action in breakers, right? Whether it's pocket play action or bootleg outside of the pocket play action. So I really hope when we watch the tape, we'll see, like, okay, they're organized and stuff. The stuff going on in the flats, though, is really frustrating. I don't know if it's a combination of the flat defender or the edge defender being too aggressive or too passive. It can be one or the other sometimes. You know, it did look like they sent some slot blitzes a little bit against under center, especially when the ball was on the hash coming from the field, because that's where you typically boot to the field, as opposed to into the boundary. Although you can do both, it's just more common to do the former. They did send one of those, and of course Wolford just tosses it over Kobe Bryant's arms, and it's like, well, that's kind of what you want. If you're Seattle, you want the look. It's just, is he going to get it off or not? And sure enough, he did. But, you know, for the most part, I mean, yeah, they're severely undermanned. You can't do too much with it. I just think it's probably better than bad that they did not absolutely crumble in the passing game. Yeah, I've got thoughts on the run defense too, but what did you guys, Maddie, what did you think about Wolford?
Yeah, interested in the tape. Obviously, like you said, his stat line, 14 of 26 attempts for 178 passing yards, 2 interceptions. That ain't anything to write home about. On the ground, the Rams, let's get the average per carry, 4.9 yards per attempt. Nope. That's the passing. 5.2 and 171 yards rushing. I mean, it's not great. But I felt they managed the game, and after that shaky start, you know, the Rams went 4 of 12 on third down. That's what Seattle wants. They kind of stopped them there, and yeah, I mean, Wolford, yeah, there was some worrying moments, right? And but it's encouraging to me, like, you know, they kind of came back. I felt McVay started the game exploiting Bruce Irvin, who has been given the license to take a shot as a veteran player and take some inside moves. And I think some of that was called stunts, but I think also some of it was Bruce thinking he'd seen something and then getting a reverse coming his way, or, you know, the run would cut back off that, or they'd just run it towards him. But I felt some of that was poor play from Bruce setting the edge, and it just got worked a bit. Felt McVay also did a good job of getting the crossing route rather than being matched up on like a Tariq Woolen, matched up on like a Ryan Neal. So that was big. But Tariq Woolen today, Pete Carroll described him as a knucklehead, but he's finished the game with his 6th interception, which is a record for a Seahawks rookie. So how about that, Ty?
Awesome
thing to say.
Yeah, that's a very dad thing to say. That's great. I mean, you know, he keeps on. I mean, and there's going to be accolades and all that stuff in the future for him, I'm sure. But he just keeps on piling on, you know, all the fancy numbers that writers love. You know, people are going to be voting for things like Defensive Rookie of the Year. Just putting that out there. So yeah, so that's good. You know, he's racking up those numbers and all that stuff. Going to be interested to see how it all, you know, looks on tape. But good for him to get a pick here. Keep boosting those numbers. Keep on driving up that run to Defensive Rookie of the Year. Maybe All Pro, guys? Question mark?
No.
Eye emoji? No.
Maybe.
Yeah.
I mean, maybe. I doubt it. Anthony in the chat points out, and that's what I meant to raise. You do have to live with this with McVay. Like, his offense in this style with the under center boot and all that stuff, it does move the ball like because there's constraints of things. If you're cheating to one thing, they'll hit the other thing, so you sort of have to play it all honest. And yeah, it will get a few yards, but 20 points, no, 23 points. That's not horrid. I think it's like Griff said, they're slightly outmanned. Griff, I know you want to talk about the run defense. I wanted to say, oh yeah, interesting. Woolen said his interception, the coaches called a good call. He said they called the zone call in. So that's a bit weird. I don't know if the zone cover 3 rather than the map. And he said usually they'd match it, as we know. So I don't know if that's like if Scott just shouts at them to play zone, or if surely they're just to the split. I don't. Yeah.
Well, I don't remember what the formation was, but I wonder, was he opposite trips? Was it 3x1?
Yeah, but then they motioned into a jet wheel, right?
Yeah. So okay, but
it might have been a condensed split, and then the running back came out on a wheel. So it's like
it makes sense that they would have him.
Yeah,
because they've been having issues. Even remember last week against the Raiders when Carr didn't see the one, and technically the person responsible for carrying that wheel would have been Bruce Irvin because they have Woolen carrying it the post all the way to the free safety. And you were telling me like that could have been a touchdown, and so maybe they're having him zone off more, especially against the Rams who are going to run stuff like that. So that's a cool game planned little tool that they had.
So it was really the receiver runs today, right? Like that was really getting them. Brandon Powell had 45 yards on 3 carries. Tutu Atwell had 22 yards on 4 carries. It was kind of a big deal for them.
Yeah. I mean, and that's not good. You have to be able to bottle those up, and they have done that in the past, but they've also gotten gashed by it, right? So, that's not good. But if compared to especially the second half of the Raiders game last week, in terms of just, most good run defenses sourced from defensive line winning blocks, and then linebackers reading the play right and getting into the right gap at the right time, et cetera, right? The prevalence of that was there with the Akers runs and then most of the Powell runs, even though he's a receiver also, but those were true normal behind center runs, right? A lot of them. I guess he's kind of a hybrid. But what was especially encouraging and they weren't dominant, but they were just competent. And what was especially encouraging by that was they played so much of their 2-4-5 front, like 4 down, not 4 down technically, but 4 down spacing, even spaced fronts. And they were holding up even in short yardage, even on a couple of those that they converted, a 2-yard run on 3rd and 2, when you're in a front that is designed to defend the pass. I mean, it's worth wondering, why were they in that? Why do they feel they needed to? Why not play their like, what do we want to call it? Their 3-3-5 nickel with the reduced over kind of front where it helps you out a little bit. But even so, like that's hugely significant. The fact that I think that they were holding up that way. Al Woods had a really good game. Shelby Harris had a rough start, but then he played really well. I think Puna played well. So
interesting, Griff, as well, to that point that rather than as in the past when they've figured they're going to be doing a bit more 2-4-5, they've had Monet go and be inactive like we saw in Munich. This time around they have Alwood and Monet active, but they have LJ Collier and Miles Adams both inactive, which usually one of those would be active. Usually Miles Adams, and they play him at nose tackle in the 2-4-5, which he struggled with. So it's actually nice that they've just put a bit of mass in the 2-4-5 anyway. Okay, you lose a bit of pass rush, even though Monet's been working on a bit of a ball rush. But it's interesting that they've, I think, learned from Munich in how they roster. Well, not roster. Well, I guess it is kind of active roster their players.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Right. So, injury-wise, Josh Jones left the game early with a hamstring injury and did not return. Then they've got a real issue at safety because Ryan Neal, who was already dealing with a badly bruised elbow, got a knee bursa, according to Pete Carroll. Now, he banged his knee and I think hurt his bursa, which is the knee bursae, the fluid-filled sacs and synovial pockets that surround and sometimes communicate with the knee joint cavity. So there you go. So that doesn't sound too good. I don't know how. You're welcome. I don't know how long that is going to take to deal with. But he is, he's questionable. And so what happened was Tease Tabor came in the game. I'd actually forgot he was on the team, but he did fine. Like, he didn't stand out in a bad way. He recovered well to like a goal red zone kind of corner shot. I think he was in a curl flat. Did fine, and they have a need there. And obviously, they already signed Jonathan Abram, and we might be seeing him as soon as next week against the Panthers. Because, I mean, a hamstring isn't a joke with Josh Jones. So I don't know.
Yeah. Yep.
Well, and this is what we talked about on Wednesday, Matty. Like, they got a guy that has at least some starting experience, so you're not throwing some guy in there that's just way too in and over his head. I mean, we'll see how he, kind of adapts into everything that they got going on, but at least you can go into that with some level of confidence. So we'll see.
There you go.
We'll see.
And maybe Table gets the shot. Maybe Joey Blunt gets the shot, but he's more of a Diggs mirror. But I know they feel highly about him.
See Joey, yeah.
Yeah, because you liked him in the preseason as well. He showed some good stuff, right, Griff? So
yeah, I mean, as far as you can tell in preseason, right? I just like that he moved around all right,
Yeah.
So we shared that
before this game, Pete said how he showed the team. No, not Pete. Who was it? Geno said that Pete showed the team the night before some Kobe Bryant interviews and cut-ups and stuff, press conferences, I think, and play, and talked about the Mamba mentality. So that's cool. Be a bit awkward if they'd lost. Like, that's not very Mamba. But
we also have the Mamba mentality when we do the show.
Right, of course. And
indeed.
And Geno also, talking basketball, Geno revealed he was sick with this illness that's sort of gone through the Seahawks.
Flu game.
Well, he was asked about that, and
really?
he didn't play that good. Yeah,
but I love Geno.
Yeah.
God, I love his boring cliche answers. It means that your quarterback is good. The more cliche your quarterback press conferences are, the better he is. So I just love that you get absolutely nothing from his press conference.
Zach Wilson, take note.
He just threw for 400 yards and had a game-winning drive, and he threw to the most talented anyway cornerback in the league to do it. And then you just have him going, yeah, good team win. Everyone pitched in. It's perfect. No notes.
Vibes, aesthetics. It's all great.
Yeah.
Geno checks every box.
He could go save a school bus full of children and just say like, oh, we all
just did what I had to do.
Team effort.
I got to give some props to the children as well. They really helped out. If it wasn't for them, none of this would have been possible.
Out of that school.
Yeah. Hey, MV Geno. Everyone's saying.
There's a discussion to be had. Like, I think he's on pace for like 4,300 yards and like 29 touchdowns.
Dude, first game-winning drive since 2014. How about that for Geno?
Yeah,
hell
I
yeah!
that at the top.
We should have had more this year, but hell yeah!
I'm giving him extra applause, Matty. I'm trying to give him. I'm
that's
trying to give him some props.
What week was that though? If we were prepared, we'd remember what week the broadcast said that happened.
Well, look, we are the Geno boys, right? So we have to prop up our guy. We have to prop up our guy.
Yeah. So. Since day one. So Griffin, you've said Rashad Penny might come back in January.
Yeah, that was a report. I don't know where, I just saw it tweeted.
All right. Oh, if it's on Twitter,
was it from Baker Bredman by chance?
Oh no, was it? Oh no.
You should check maybe. I don't know.
Oh,
yeah, you probably should.
Should make sure that you didn't get breaded.
I think it was. I think it was a real life. What
is this?
Okay, so Anthony Pascal, I hope I pronounced your last name right, in the chat said Ian Furness reported it. So if they get into the playoffs, he might be available then. I don't know. Does that mean like the very end of December, January? but that'd be pretty cool. They might need it just for health like depth purposes, even you know, even outside of the fact that he's really good. You know,
they definitely need it. They definitely need it. I mean, what is a banged up ankle? Like, is that broken? Like he banged it around? Like
it's nicked. He's got a legit bang up. He's got a legit nick.
For him not to come back in the game, like that does not sound too good.
It's concerning. I mean, they didn't rule him out immediately though, so maybe that's a good sign. Like he was questionable for a while until they eventually ruled him out. So,
and you think Pete would have said like he's going to have an MRI, like, you know?
I kind of feel like there was like something that he was already dealing with entering this game though, because like after the first run, he went to the sideline and there was like a groin thing or something, and then
Walker's done that a few times, like where he's pulled up, like he's pulled something, and then after like 2 more plays, he's back in the game, and he then has another run where he looks slightly weird. So I think we should quickly just talk about the playoff picture that I led off with. So the results today, well, I think, Griff, you were saying you reckon the 49ers would lose this game.
Yeah.
They did not.
They did not.
They beat Miami, which is unfortunate given that Miami was supposed to be one of the toughest teams on their schedule, and they were 8-3 at the time. So the 49ers do lead the NFC West at 8-4. Seattle 7-5. They can't really afford to lose a game again. And obviously these two sides meet in not this Thursday, but 3 Thursdays time. Depends when you're listening. But after the Panthers game. So that's obviously monumental, and on a short week as well. At least the Seahawks are at home. Anyway, now.
I hate Thursday night games.
Washington tying is unfortunate because if they'd beat the Giants, the Seahawks.
The Seahawks apparently have the tiebreaker on Washington right now.
Yeah, we're 7th seed right now.
Yeah, the Seahawks are the 7th seed at the moment.
We are in this thing. Stop the count.
So is that a good result then?
I don't think it's as bad of a result as maybe some on Twitter are making it out to be, because I saw people like, oh my God, they tied. This is awful. This is like the worst possible thing that could happen. And I'm like literally looking at the ESPN playoff machine. It says the Seahawks are in. So I'm like,
yeah, we're in that sucker right now.
Yeah, because the Seahawks obviously beat the Giants.
So with Jimmy out,
it's probably a divisional record or something like that.
Yeah, so that is the major news. So Jimmy Garoppolo was casted off the field, which really does suck. He's ruled out for the season with a broken foot after just 8 plays against the Dolphins. They obviously already lost Trey Lance injured against the Seahawks, and now they have Brock Purdy quarterbacking their offense. And honestly, like they didn't look like they had a 3rd string rookie undrafted free agent quarterback.
Yeah,
or maybe he did get drafted.
He was Mr. Irrelevant.
Mr. Irrelevant, yeah.
Oh, well, he's very relevant now.
Being irrelevant had never been so pretty.
Oh, there we go. So that'll be interesting to see how that all shakes out. They've still got a host of weapons. They're very talented, especially on offense. Like Debo and Purdy can run a bit. Like.
Yeah,
I don't know if you want to run
that run game and their defense is still going to allow them to win some games in the regular season. I mean, like playoff wise, they're probably screwed, but like regular season wise, they're probably still going to get it. Their remaining schedule, by the way, so next week they play the Bucs, then they play the Seahawks, of course.
Yep.
Then they play the Commanders.
Oh, juicy.
The Raiders, who are that is juicy, right? Like,
and the Raiders won today
potentially in that. The Raiders are playing some pretty good ball right now. And then they wrap up the season against the Cardinals, which womp womp.
Womp womp.
So they need to drop.
They could feasibly lose 2 of those 5 games.
Yeah, and then obviously one of them has to happen against us, right?
Yeah. It has to happen.
I don't like it, man. I can't believe they lost to the Raiders. But you know what? Where I'm at with all this, if you can just get into the 7th seed, I'll live with it.
Yeah, Seattle's schedule compared to that is actually pretty even, isn't it? Like they play the Jets, the Rams, the Chiefs,
Chiefs.
49ers, Panthers. Yeah, that's spicy.
Very much like it.
I would like for this defense to improve before they go to Arrowhead Stadium in Week 16.
That would be nice.
That would be preferable.
Maybe they don't need to.
Maybe it's fixed. Maybe,
You know,
after
with the
those first
shootout.
couple of drives, the fourth quarter drive, the go ahead drive was a fluke, right? They figured it out though. They figured it out. They're back. Since week 6 defense is back.
God, I hope so. Well, they need another game to kind of throw it together. It really did feel like they re-achieved a threshold of competency this game that they were sorely lacking last week, and to a degree the Bucs game. So we'll see.
Hopefully, I don't know how much you can take away because the Rams' offensive style is so unique, especially with their quarterback situation currently. And then the Rams are also not just at quarterback, completely banged up. Oh, speaking of being banged up at quarterback, though, it was announced that after the game by Sean McVay that Matthew Stafford has a spine injury, spinal cord contusion, which that sounds like you should probably stop playing football, but then football players are ridiculously tough and committed, but that sounds terrifying.
That does. Yeah. Hoping for the best for him. That sucks.
Yeah, that's not good. Yeah.
By the way, we're talking about how much the Seahawks have benefited from the Russ trade, but the Lions are also going to get a really nice pick from the Stafford trade out of this.
Yeah, the Rams first round pick trading thing has kind of finally not.
I think they actually have I think they have the second pick, or the Lions have the second pick now via the Rams, and the Seahawks have the third pick via the Broncos.
What did the Rams give? What did they get from that first round pick? Which they gave to the Lions.
Sorry, what? I'm confused.
What did you buy?
I'm confused.
You mean who do the Lions get?
No. Who the Lions get? No.
No, the Rams gave up a first round pick, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
What for?
A Super Bowl. Matthew Stafford in a Super Bowl. So.
Oh, are you pulling our chain?
No. Yeah, no, I was. Yeah.
You know how we Americans are.
Didn't land, Matthew.
I wasn't trying to. I was just being tired. It's 3:15 a.m.
Epic fail.
Maddie,
by the way,
question.
the Broncos lost again, but we'll talk about that on Wednesday. Tease.
The Broncos lost again.
Maddie,
is it one of your funny questions? Because we should probably ask the listeners for questions before we do funny questions.
Okay, fine.
Okay. Hey, chat. Ask questions, chat. Do some questions, please.
Do the question thing.
I thought we were capping at 45 minutes.
But if we spent 7 minutes pontificating.
Yeah, that's 45 minutes of actual show time, not the pre-show. Yeah, exactly. Master pontificator.
Camden says the Panthers game is a trap game. I think yes, but then
in the same vein,
the Seahawks good enough to think games are trap games, maybe, but then
they shouldn't have that. They're out. They need to keep proving themselves as the mentality.
Although the Seahawks shouldn't be reading their their press clippings. They should be keeping a level head. Every game is a championship opportunity.
Every single positive press clipping.
Yeah, turn off ESPN and NFL Network, guys. Take the TVs out of the VMAC.
VMAC censorship. Yep.
Yeah.
Get some buy-in.
Right. Camden asks, what is a catch? What is a fumble? What is a ref?
Those are great questions I cannot answer. Oh, Henry with a good question here.
Will DK have another 100-yard game this season? I have bets on him having 3 100-yard games in the regular season. Henry adds.
I think he's got one more in him. Why not?
Yeah.
Panthers game.
Panthers game.
JC Horn was like, I'm gonna follow you round, and then DK's like, okay.
DK going for 200 off of Sauce.
Yeah, let's do it, Henry. Let's make some money. Okay.
Who would be in an ideal matchup in the playoffs? Asked Taylor.
It'd be nice if you could choose. I'd say the 3-10 Chicago Bears. Well, their field looks quite good, but no, we can't pick, can we? I guess Washington isn't the worst. Like I don't know. What do you guys think? What's realistic?
I mean, I think the Vikings are a formidable team, but they're the fakest 10-2 team in recent
and
memory.
That's right now who the Seahawks would play. Season ended today, they would play the Vikings.
And Pete is buddies with Eddie.
So maybe Ed can do a solid and
there you go.
Yeah, just throw a game.
yeah.
just for the friendship.
For all time's sake.
There we go. Yeah, the Vikings isn't the worst. Like, it depends if they're wild card or win the division, right? Like, if they win the division, then
yeah, if they win the division, right, then they're probably getting the 3 seed because they're probably going to finish with a better record than Tampa Bay. Maybe.
I feel like we're going to end up facing the Niners if the Niners become a wild. If we take the
that
division,
that is not the ideal playoff match.
That's not the ideal.
Very bad.
Let's U-turn.
Like it's
let's
going to end up
U-turn
happening
from that. Yeah. Honestly, host the Giants. That would be my answer.
Yeah, for sure. I don't believe. I think they're a fake 7-4-1 team. So
also, we've seen this before, right?
And
obviously, as we all know, regular season games equal exactly the same outcome in the playoffs.
Yeah,
precisely.
Right.
Especially in the year 2020.
Let's there's some very good questions here, which I think can happen for another pod. But there's one here: over under 10 wins at the end of the season.
All right, so they got 5 games left. They're 7-5.
I think they finished 11-6.
I say push because I called 10-7 at the start of the season.
Yeah, I'm gonna push 10-7.
There you go. So hang on, what are they now? 7-5.
They're 7-5, so they need to win 3 games. So Carolina, San Francisco, LA.
It's doable.
There we go.
And Griff, you're saying they win 4 games.
Well, so who do they lose to, Griff?
I can do math. I think they go 11-6. So okay, throw on the Jets. They beat the Jets.
Nice, Robert Saleh. Yeah,
we lose to the Chiefs.
Right.
Now, Maddie.
No. Hold on. I need to do my wrap up. Thank you, everyone, for tuning in. We had so many people live. That's very exciting. But also, thank you for listening. If you are listening, please do rate the show and recommend it to your friends. So 5-star review. Recommend it to your friends. Help us keep growing the atmosphere. Gerson Perez, go Niners. You're in timeout.
That's your prerogative.
Gerson.
You blocked him.
No. For 5 minutes.
For 5 minutes, he's put in timeout.
Gerson. It's just
a little.
We found that message very offensive. Actually,
I did.
Yeah,
it really upset.
I don't know. I kind of like it when people get a little spicy. That's fine with me.
Oh, okay.
Oh yeah, that was really spicy. And also subscribe to the YouTube, like the video, comment, and over to you, Griffin. Time to shine.
Maddie, I've been wondering, are you familiar with Bofa? I can't even hold a straight face saying it.
Is that no, that's not. I thought that was a blitz concept. Didn't
No,
Bank of America?
No. Yeah, exactly. It's the initialism for the banking institution known as Bank of America, which is an American multinational investment bank and financial services holding company headquartered at the Bank of the American Corporate Center in Charlotte, North Carolina. I was just wondering if you knew that.
No, I never knew that. Why would I know about an American bank? I don't get it.
That's why I thought I'd ask. I wouldn't have presumed that you would. I mean, it's such a typical Yankee thing to just think, you guys know everything about us over here.
I'll keep I'll tell my friends about that. I'll tell my friends.
There are other banks too, like JP Morgan Chase, BECU Credit Union,
Bank of America.
Griff,
Oh,
did
we
you
just
know
did
that
that.
we have accents?
Well, we
That our voices are actually accents. Did you know that?
yeah. No, I did learn that because it's relative, right?
Both are.
It's funny because Maddie, you're English.
Is
we're American.
it a joke
Yeah.
about my accent? Both are? I don't get it.
No.
Well, Maddie, we all
Oh.
have accents. So
We're not doing the
don't
joke
just-
anymore.
don't
We're
just
doing
single
the
out yours.
informative.
Yeah.
My laptop is about to die. I don't
Okay.
have my charger.
Well,
That's the biggest joke of all. Haha.
I don't. Okay. So you're just telling me about banks now. We're not doing jokes.
It was just an
That
innocent
was it.
question, dude. What's the problem?
I'm just confused why you tell me about bank.
I'm confused why you're confused.
Both are?
Yeah.
That doesn't make sense. Okay. Anyway, thanks for tuning in, everyone. Have a great rest of the evening, and we appreciate you. I guess. I mean, I do. Ty and Griff. I don't want to speak for them.
I love our listeners. I personally love all of our listeners equally. You don't buy it?